Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. I'm your host on the Speaker Show, Niniola Fatai. All right, so like most of you know, Fridays are always the day that I'm excited about. I'm sure you guys have heard me say this thousand times. So, without taking much of our time, we have a very special guest tonight who, with a lot of experience that he has had in his career. He is going to be able to shed a lot of light on the reason why we need to work hard as a young generation. We need to work hard in order for us to have a better life. It pays, like, so many things that, that comes along with that. So I'm not going to take much of our time because I know we're going to be really really going in tonight. So I'm going to be welcoming our very special guest tonight. So help me welcome the one and holy, the one and holy, the one and holy, Mr. Hundehin. Thank you, thank you. Welcome, welcome on our midst. You're live right now. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Good evening. Thanks for bringing me to the show.
Oh, you're
How have you
welcome.
been?
I am doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. It's so
Thank you.
lovely to see you. It's so lovely to see you. Wow. Okay. So tonight, I just want you to, I know, you're a powerhouse man, you're full of energy, you're a politician, you're into so many things. And I know, okay, for our guest who don't know, he's all the way from Nigeria. And he is one of the officials, for the immigration, for the UK, for Canada. Like, you have a powerhouse man in the house. So get excited for him tonight. Okay, so before we go further, I just like you to do a little bit introduction of yourself to my audience. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I am Towanu Abiodun Hunde. I'm a retired Deputy Controller General of Immigration. And now I practice as a consultant. I am not into politics. I run away from it, but I'm fine. I hope you're fine too, anyway.
I love that. I love the way you said you run away from it. Even I mentioned that, you're like, okay, well, okay. All right. So, can you tell us like a little bit about, can you share your experience with us, in your career personally, and then we have some questions for you. And then also, before we go forward, I would like to say this to our audience: please drop your questions because we're gonna be taking questions from the crowd in like couple of minutes. So please, if you do have any question along the line, the way he's sharing his experience, please drop your question and we're gonna be taking it afterward. So coming back to you. All right. So can you share your experience, in your career, like what what the career has been for you, before you retired now?
Thank you very much. I think career wise, one is accomplished. And in life, at times you plan your career, and at times God throws up something else at your doorstep. I think basically one is fulfilled. And I can tell you that we started small and we ended up big. That's all I'll say.
Wow. Okay, I love that. We started small, we end up big. Trust me, you are gonna still gonna dig in tonight a little bit. Are you just gonna say, "Oh, Niniola"? All
I'm
right,
here for you.
all right. You see, that's the energy that I love in the house. I love the energy so much. All right, so when you talk about starting small and then ending up doing tremendous things, you know I want you to share, a little bit light on that. And also, you mentioned that, like, being fulfilled with your career. And honestly, I have to say, like, I admired that a lot because at your age, at your level, like, there are a lot of people who can say career wise they are accomplished, they are fulfilled. And then the fact that you are able to say that, I think that's a lot. Is huge. So, and that's why, we are here to learn from the greatest. So,
Thank you.
so can you shed a little bit more light on that for us, please?
You mean career-wise?
Yes. When you said that you are fulfilled, what do you mean by that?
I didn't start out studying immigration at all. I read something different. Like I said earlier, at times, what you plan is not what you get. And at times, you hope for the best. And God says the best is yet to come. I can say that um, the job I did exposed me to a lot of opportunities, a lot of countries, ideas. We were able to generate a lot of policies that has changed the narrative of what we met in immigration. We met a paper-based immigration and we left an ICT-driven immigration under the leadership of very eminent controller generals like Mr. C.J. Ude OFR, under whom I served as SA operations. And a lot of ideas were generated, a lot of policies were formulated, a lot of decisions were reached, and government in its magnanimity added value to what we left in 2016. By and large, I can tell you that from my experience, immigration is the best job in the world.
Wow, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, so now what I want to ask you next is this, like, personally, aside from, like, now that you're retired, like, that you're just relaxing, I know you travel all over the world, I know that. So I just want you to tell us this evening, now that you're retired, like, what are your plans, like, what do you enjoy doing right now?
Traveling, listening to music, and watching documentaries.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. So you find that very entertaining. I like that.
And it can be very exciting learning new cultures, meeting new people, and going to different countries, societies, and environment.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I love that. I especially, like, personally, I love the idea of, like, adventure. I love to adventure a lot. And then,
Good.
like, at this stage of mine, adventuring all over, like, that I love that. So I could imagine, like, during your youth. So during your youth, like, what would you say about, like, that? Because I know that, like, being able to do that now, it shouldn't be something that, like, because you're retired and you're like, I just want to travel all over the world. So, but, like, during your youth, was it something that, like, that you enjoyed to do, or?
Hmm. Uh, how can I start?
Anyhow.
Well, i- i- in my youthful years, we were into sports, into reading, a lot of going to the library, and I doubt if those ones still exist now. And we used to look through people's Encyclopedia Britannica at that time. Google has taken that one away from the hard one to soft copy documents. But by and large, a lot of reading. Because that time, that was the only way you could achieve. Go to school, be competitive, achieve. Basically, that's that.
That's good. It's like, you just took my word away from me because I was coming to that. But it's okay the way you mentioned it. And then, I was just going to tell you that, I love the way you mentioned the education part of it. But, like in this generation now, with the way things are going right now people believe that, education is not as important like the way it was back in the days. Can you hear me?
I'm listening.
Okay, so that education is not as important the way it was back in the days, especially like African community, the way like the parents are always like, oh, you have to go to school, you have to get your education, you have to do this, you have to do that because that's the only way. But now people are like, there's this different perspective that you can still achieve so much greatness in your life aside from going to school. So what's your intake on that? Education in this generation not being
Well,
that much
I,
of a
I,
value.
I know that there's what they call different strokes for different folks. But for me, at any point in time, education is key. It expands your horizon. It makes you competitive in the market, in the job markets. It helps you in advancing technology. How would you advance, introduce new techniques in life if it is not through education? Scientists, people going to space, people doing all these people that add value to our engagement today. It's because no matter how little, education is key to success in life. That's my take.
That's true. I like that. I like that because it's just funny, the way things have turned from like from that generation, from your generation to her generation now. So, but now another thing that I want to share with that I want to ask you this evening is that I know you mentioned sports. So the idea of the old generation, because I'm more into like the old generation and the all that, like the new generation now. So those days, like when a young folks, like when you have desire to like get into sports, and then the parent doesn't have so much idea, so much background into sports. So what would you say in this generation? Like, is there anything in like when you said you enjoy sports, so do you think that like you could have went after that, like pursue that as a career, or you think like it was like, oh no, it's something that I just enjoyed on the side?
Um, that time, sports was not taken as a profession, largely. It does not mean people didn't do it, but largely in the 50s, 60s, people feel that you should do education. Even if you want to do sports, do education. If you want to do music, still do education. Whatever it is, it puts you on the global stage. With education, you become a lawyer. With education, you become a medical doctor, pharmacist, engineer. So that one does not mean that whoever is into sports will still not add some bites, some development. You can still achieve whatever you want in the field of sports, be it golf, boxing, but it's still good that you can manage yourself through having quality education, because both go hand in hand.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's true because, the education that we have now, is what has propelled us into who we are right now. So, which I absolutely do, like, agree with what you said. But, it's just funny, like, and some part of it, I personally, my home view, it's like, whatever you can do, just do it, So, yes. So,
And do it well.
and do it well. Yes, exactly, and do it well. So now my next question for you is this: like, during your time, like during your career, like, has there been anything that, like, that really really challenged you, that made you feel like you should quit, and how did you deal with that?
Challenge in which area? Work wise?
Work wise, yes.
You know that the world became a global village after 9/11. The dynamics of human migration changed from the conventional to ICT based one. You didn't have advanced passenger information system that is digital that time. But what you have now, they've introduced biometrics, fingerprints, and now they are thinking of paperless travels. Those are dynamics that come to fore based on what happens in our everyday life. The document we used to have, the travel documents that time, has changed, you know, how do I use the word now? Dramatically, because now you need to tie people to travel. You need to track people's journey for so many reasons. Maybe crime, maybe regular travels, tourism, for whatever purpose, the world has changed. Then there's what we call upward mobility for travel, economic reasons, agric reasons, so many reasons, including being refugee, wars, and all that. So the world keeps changing, and the dynamics of managing human migration and mobility still keeps evolving. It has not reached the finality. So those challenges every day, world over, communities, countries, societies are meeting the dynamics of change. Change in itself is a regular part of life. So the
Yeah.
challenges keep coming, and the world keeps addressing those challenges as they rear their head.
Yes. Yes. Um, challenges is all over the place. Absolutely, I agree with you. But there's some instances where it becomes too overwhelming when it becomes something very personal. And then let's say, like, maybe you have some career that you want to do, and then at some point you're like, okay, maybe I should go for it, and then you put in your best, and then at the end of the day it seems like everything is not working. So what would you say to someone who is, like, who is in that kind of a situation, based on your own personal experience?
You mean career wise?
Just general, like, just general. It
You
might.
know that at our time, our parents dictate what career they want you to do, to follow, what
Mhm,
career path.
mhm,
It's only recently that our children will say, "No, dad," or "No, mom, this is what I want to become." And at
mhm,
times, some children will say, "Dad, I'm done with what you want me to do," or "Mom, what I've done," or "Parents, I've done what you want me to do." You know what? That's your certificate. I now want to be me. So a lot of things are changing. And then um, career in itself, these days you have people who will advise you. You have career advisors, and people keep changing careers based on the dynamics of what is happening world over. For instance, there are so many courses that are available now that we didn't think of before. Then there were some professional courses that were limited, but these days there's a lot of expansion. So if you go to the universities now, there are so many courses that you have now that didn't exist 30, 40 years back. I left university more than 40 years ago. I'm sure what we had that time, the limitation of courses we had that time, we don't have now, is been expanded. Space science, there are so many courses out there that you may end up reading, graduating in, and not practice. I know people who are medical doctors and are politicians today. I know many people who are lawyers and today they are politicians. So it's like that. It's like people who joined politics and became prime minister. You don't study to be prime minister in the uni, nor do you study to be a president in the uni. Politics takes you to that path or that route.
mhm.
Are you
Yes,
clear with it?
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And then now my next question for you is that so if actually like if you're to give if you're to give advice to a young generation,
Advice in what area, please?
just like somebody who like in career, like career wise, what advice would you give to a younger generation now?
You know, you have what they call counselors and advisors.
Mhm.
Those ones can guide, but again, it depends on the mindset of the youth, the mindset of the student, the path that somebody may take or will take also can be determined by the environment. And then now, in an environment where you have snow, you have to think of the dynamics of managing snow.
Mhm.
Ditto the ones that you don't where you don't have snow and you have too much crisis. They need to manage those crises. Those ones at times bring up what will I say? Um, Reasons why people will say, okay, let's do this. Look at what the man that established is it Newton for electricity? This other man, Nobel, the
Yeah,
man, the Nobel Prize, the man Alfred Nobel. So all these people change the dynamics of the world through their own technological breakthrough and those things, like people who started eyeglasses, for instance. I'm using glasses. It's technology that brought that. I'm speaking with you now live. It's technology that brought it, isn't it? I'm looking at you in color, your beautiful looks. I'm seeing all the little beauty about you. It is through technology, and it is all these ones are given to the world by people who think out of the box. So career in itself, if one thinks out of the box, you could follow a career path that you didn't even plan all your life.
that's true. Yeah, and I like the point that you mentioned earlier, and I think it's very, very important as well that the most important thing is going after what you want. That's the most important thing. No matter like how you know whatever you might have in mind or whatever it is, whatever you have in your hand, just go after it and run after it. So now my next question for you. That I'm going to be asking you this evening. It's been amazing. So, my next question for you is now that you have, like, the way you have right now, and then I know that, like, you're part of the House of Commons in Badagry, like the Shimbras all the way in Nigeria. So, and then even though you said you're not into politics so much, I know. I just want to ask you that like is there any reason or what makes you think that in this time with the way things are going, you know what is your view, to how things could be or like could better for an individual who is striving for something more?
Now, can you come again with this question? Because it's very important.
Okay. All right. So let me make it short. Okay.
No, no, it's good, but I want it clearer.
Okay. Okay. So let me put it down in a shorter way. So actually, what is your intake, when it comes to the politics, to someone who wants to join politics in Nigeria? Let me put it that way.
Somebody wants to do politics.
Yes.
Very good question. You know, by nature, man is homo politicus, meaning political animal. We're all into politics, no matter how insignificant. Politics in itself is game. Some people have made it permanent career now. But then one thing that should be at the back of every person who wants to be into politics is to serve the people. to be truthful. Don't promise what you cannot give. And don't go beyond the box that it must be. If God wills it, fine. If God does not will it, no matter how you try. Now, politics for some people is a game. For some people is a profession. But politics in itself is to serve humanity and to connect, to make life better for all citizens, residents, and non-citizens. So essentially, politics in itself may be good, and for individuals that are engaged in it permanently, then they are professional politicians. You have professionals in politics, and you also have professional politicians. These are the two key things, key ingredients, key elements in the politics of our country today.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Professionals in politics, professional politicians. There are two different elements.
Okay, all right. I think okay, I think I'm gonna learn that. All right. I think I'm gonna learn that. All right. Okay. Okay. So now my
Are you planning to run for office? Are you planning to run to become prime minister or president?
well
Go
well
ahead, I'm just teasing.
okay, all right. Okay, sounds good. Well, you never know. Maybe someday, you never know. The dream
Okay,
is
that's a
quite
good one.
open and wide, yeah. All right. So we're gonna be taking some few questions like from the crowd right now. And then with the questions that we have, there's someone here who is asking, like, what is the process of joining Nigerian Immigration Service, which I believe we talked about earlier.
Usually it is advertised either in the newspaper or on the social media. Then there are requirements, conditions. You follow the requirements. No, you get the requirements, submit application online. You'll be asked, you'll be shortlisted based on the parameters, age, height, medical. Then once you pass the CBT, computer-based test, they'll call you for an interview. And if you are lucky after the interview, you are employed. When I joined in 1986, I didn't know anybody.
Okay.
So it's a straightforward thing. But now it's very, very competitive. Very, very. When we joined, immigration isn't what it is today all over the world. But today, immigration is big business. If you bought a flight to any country in the world, maybe Heathrow, Los Angeles, you can see and imagine the sea of heads that you see at the airports. People are migrating, traveling from one part of the world to the other, Australia, New Zealand, Kiribati, everywhere. So immigration now, for so many purposes, it could be tourism, it could be relocating. You know what? People are jackpotting. Maybe with time they jackpot. But immigration is a good business.
All right. Okay. So all right. So we're gonna be taking another question from me, and then we'll go back to the crowd as well. The question that I want to ask you now is that I know personally, I know you've mentioned that okay, don't let me make it personal, but
I won't
do
answer
you
personal questions.
no, exactly. So, but do you think of the way everybody, like you said, jackpot away from Nigeria and then travel all over, maybe to Canada or maybe to UK or maybe to United States. So do you ever consider yourself jackpotting away from Nigeria?
At 68, forget it. I've had my fair share of travels, but to live outside Nigeria, stay out of Nigeria, is not on my plate at all. At 68, what will I be doing? Is to travel and enjoy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. So, but now that, like, what would you tell to the people that, they jackpot away from Nigeria? Because there's a lot of jackpot right now away from Nigeria.
You know, life in itself is a continuum. And how do I use the word now? You can consider life to be everything. But then there was a time Europeans were coming to Africa. Then there was a time we were also going to Europe. Now there's so many people, countries people go to now that ordinarily you would not have thought they would go to. Before, how many Nigerians would leave to go to Norway, New Zealand, Australia? Very few. That time it was either America or the US, and lately Canada. But that does not mean that people have not been traveling to those countries. There was a time Nigerian doctors were going to Saudi Arabia. So now for tourism is Dubai. What I know is that people will go to better their lot, believing that they want a better alternative to how they live or where they live, and that their life is not being properly served where they are for economic reasons. Some are forced to relocate to join family. Some are forced to relocate for economic migration. Some are for so many things. And for me, there's nothing wrong in migrating, but it should be legitimately done.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. I like that. All right, so
Because that is the key to proper migration. If you leave your country legitimately, I know people these days will sell their grandparents' homes, their parents' homes to raise money. Look at the exchange rates. And then this exchange rate will put people under pressure to raise money to relocate. When you are relocating, how much are you relocating with? It takes time to settle in your country that you are moving into, the new country you are moving to. It takes time to settle, to take employment, to organize your family. People should think along that line before they jump the ship. Because in Yoruba, you cannot say you want to go into the lagoon to bath or to swim, and you say you are feeling cold. A kì í wọnú ọ̀sà ká ló tutù mú wa, no.
that's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. Actually, it's actually true because we've seen people in the couple of, like, last years, and then like in the few years, and then when people migrate to all these countries, like some leave their wives behind, some leave husband behind, some leave children behind, and then just to find a better life, and then thinking as if, like, everything is going to work out right away, and they battle with these, they struggle with these. And I feel that sometimes as well, like, that kind of break relationship apart, like, it breaks marriages apart, because when they migrate, and then within 1 year or 2 years, they're expecting everything to be perfect, everything to work out well, or maybe within a year, and forgetting that well, they're coming to also have his own challenge. So, and that kind of, it comes, and then it just, it caused a lot of problems, in the home. So it takes a lot, to put the head together and still be together, because you might think you want to get a job right away, and at the end of the day, you're not even getting the job. The job is not coming as much as you think you're going to get a job. What would you do? You're just going to be sitting down there hoping and praying, and then so that's why I absolutely agree with what you said, because it's important to have proper planning, and then even sometimes, like you said, it's better off to, like, take that same money, use it to do something else, whereby, like, it can pays you more even where you are, compared to, like, taking it away, and then you have all sort of things like that, that one has to deal with. So it's a lot, it's a lot when it comes to the migration, from my own view, and then with people with experience, like with different stories, like, yeah. So thank you for sharing light on that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. All right. So there's one last question right here that we're gonna be taking, and then we're gonna be coming to an end of our interview, which it's been very, very amazing. And I know that after the show, I'm still gonna ask you one or two questions that you're gonna show me about the politics. All right. The professional. All right. So the last question we're gonna be taking here is, how can foreigners work hand in
How do you
hand?
mean?
How can foreigners work hand in hand with the immigration to transfer business to Nigeria? That's a good question.
Over time, government of Nigeria has introduced some palliative, some measures, some policies in place to encourage uh, business models that involve non-Nigerians with Nigerians in Nigeria. One, Ministry of Interior is there. Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission is there. Export processing zones have been established. So all this one will make people who want to invest in Nigeria or relocate to Nigeria to set up business and make life better for themselves. I can tell you there are so many foreign companies in Nigeria that are operating and are doing well. If the, you know, how do I use the word? And some are also lucky. They become naturalized. There are so many non-Nigerians that are Nigerians now. And these days, ordinarily, some countries that you would not think that they are nationals will become Nigerians are becoming Nigerians. So for me, the template is there to make non-Nigerians practice their businesses and trade, bring in investments, and possibly make life comfortable for themselves and for their children. There are some families in Nigeria that came in 1940s, and they are here. Their children are here. Their great-grandchildren are here. So business in itself in Nigeria is good, but that person has to do proper study of what he wants to do, who his contacts would be, and follow the rules of engagement as enshrined in all these legislations to make businessmen thrive in Nigeria.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's a good.
but I'm sure that if they go to all these platforms, they will know what to do. Like, for instance, Solid Minerals is the in thing now. Individual companies are coming to Nigeria to mine gold, to mine bauxite, to mine tin. That's one that is going in that area. Construction companies, Chinese companies, German companies are here. Oil and gas, American companies, they're all here. French, they are here. UK, Shell. Shell has been here for as many years as we can remember. So I think Shell came in 1958 or Louisbury or something like that. So companies are coming, and I encourage non-Nigerians to come join hands with Nigerian partners for them to invest. What Nigeria needs most now is foreign direct investment.
I agree. I agree. Especially with the way the economic is going right now. I absolutely agree with that. Yes. So wow. So thank you very, 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 very much. I really enjoyed and appreciate your time on the show. So can you just before you go, can you drop one word for my viewers
And I do
tonight?
what?
Can you drop one word of like, for my viewers tonight, my audience?
The word is, with God, all things are possible. But we must tell ourselves, have set goals, set rules, follow it through, be legitimate, be truthful. That's the word. Be truthful and follow what the laws say. The world will be at that person's feet.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, so thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So for everyone who is out there, thank you so much, you guys, for joining the speaker show. Like I've always said to you guys, it's a place of inspiration. Where minds are being liberated through other people's story, because you never know when it's going to be your turn. You never know when someone's story is going to change your life. It's going to change your mindset towards something that you've been trying to do for yourself. So I just want to say, you guys, thank you so much for your dedication, for your time. And then also don't forget to click on the notification button to always get, like, new things that is coming on the show. So please subscribe as well. So the new things, the new show that is coming on, the new episode, you can always be on point with us. So thank you guys very much. I remain your host, Nimiola Fatai. Thank you so much. Until next
Thank you
week.
very much. God bless you.
Thank you. Amen. 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 Thank you. Bye now.